Let me begin to say thank you to everyone in the MSP family for their unwavering support since my husband's accident last Friday. From the moment Sergeant Adams showed up at the door of my store until this moment that I stand behind you, they have been nothing but exceptional in their kindness and support. He was so proud to be a part of the MSP family. Thank you to the first responders who were first on scene, who helped him to get out of his patrol car and stayed with him to the hospital. I know some of you are here today. I know you all worked tirelessly to save him, and I know he did as well. Thank you to our friends and family, and there have been complete strangers who have called and texted and sent cards, and I know that I have not responded, but please know that they were all received, and I have taken great comfort in reading them, especially during our sleepless nights. And lastly, thank you to the countless troopers from all over the U.S., North Carolina, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Connecticut, the great state of New York, where Danny is from, and I'm sure there's others, and I'm so sorry, I think even Canada. He would be so in awe and impressed and just think this was the coolest thing ever. So I pray to God he is looking down and he can see all of this. Thank you just for making that long trip to honor my husband. When thinking of what to say today, I quickly remember that I am not the writer in the family. That was Danny. I have a box full of all the sweet love letters and cards he has sent me through the years. And I went through all of them to try to find some inspiration. But quite frankly, I could never measure up to him. A little over 10 years ago, I moved back home to Detroit with my daughter, Taylor, and I met Danny. I guess you could say, or call it fate, that we came together. Or really, he had no choice because I was the only single girl left in Grosse Pointe that he had not dated. True story, true story. Luckily, it worked out. He is the love of my life, and we overcame so much in the first years that we were together. Our love just grew stronger through it all, and with the birth of our children. The secret to our success was quite simple. We were best friends. We never took ourselves too seriously. We communicated, we laughed, both at each other and ourselves. Things weren't always so rosy. We had our fights, but we knew how to say, "I'm sorry." We put each other first, supported one another. My store and my business was just as much as his it was mine. He helped build it. He was my Instagram muse. I mean, what husband would let their wife test out beauty products on him, videotape it, and let her post it to her Instagram for thousands to see? He did. And quite honestly, I think he secretly enjoyed it. He loved the attention when he went to the local grocery store and women would say things to him. I told him I made him Insta famous. I could stand here for hours just telling you stories of what an amazing person he was. Most importantly, the best husband and the best father. And that is all he wanted to be. He was the one who, after a trip, his bags within the hour would be unpacked, laundry done, everything put away, even if we got home at 1 o'clock in the morning. Me, on the other hand, I still have a suitcase in my closet from a trip we took 2 months ago with my stuff still in it. He would tease me incessantly about it, so I would not allow him in my closet anymore. He would stand at the door and look at me, and I would be, "Just get out of here, you're a freak of nature." We preferred staying home with our kids and friends than going out unless it was for Mexican food. Mostly because we were just too exhausted, because everyone knows going out with toddlers is a nightmare. We were that corny couple who sat in bed next to each other and sent a million memes on Instagram to see how much the other would laugh. And I'm still gonna flood your inbox with those memes in case they have Instagram in heaven. Back in 2020-21, he started talking about how he always wanted to be a state police officer. After talking and talking and talking, I finally was like, are you gonna do it or what? If not, stop talking about it. I told him I would support him in whatever he does. A life of service is something to be proud of. It's a thankless job. A life of service. It's a thankless job, doesn't pay what it should. And in recent years, from irresponsible political rhetoric, it has unfortunately become an even more dangerous job for all of you. But he was a patriot through and through, like all of you are here today. He took that first test, and as all of you here have to do yourself, he passed, and so began that lengthy process, which took about a year. With every step, it became more and more real to him. He was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Going to the next step. As I'm sure a lot of you had those same feelings. And he kept asking me throughout it, are you sure, are you sure, are you sure? And I said, yes, just go for it. And finally, in January of 2023, it was time for him to leave for the academy. It was at that time that we decided to get married for our children, because we knew that this new career path came with risk. So we did that before a judge a few weeks before he left, thinking that we would do a real wedding after he graduated. I will always remember the day I left him at the academy. I was actually going through some videos the other day that I took, watching all the recruits in their white shirts, black ties, shaved head, walking with their bags, getting yelled at. I know all of you here remember your first day as well. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt really bad for him. When we walked into that building, and all of the officers, the troopers are lined up, and they're stone-faced, looking like they were gonna murder somebody. I see some of those faces here today, and you still scare the daylights out of me. It was pretty intimidating. And I remember first meeting you, Colonel Grady. As we walked into the auditorium, you were greeting all of us. And quite frankly, you stood out because you were the only one who smiled and who didn't scare me. For all of you that don't know, when you go to the academy, there are no phones. You cannot talk or text your family or anything like that. It's radio silent during the week. That first weekend home, he cried with tears of happiness when he got into his car and he called me. As you know, those weekends went by so fast, and saying goodbye on those Sundays was painful. He didn't want to go back. He missed us, his kids, so much, and he will probably haunt me for telling you all this, but he cried a lot. And I told him that he could do it. They are just trying to break you down to weed out the weak ones. It's all part of the training. I told him I was not letting him quit, and he needs to go. It's one day at a time. It's 1 week at a time. This is nothing. This song and dance kind of happened every Sunday for at least the first 12 weeks, and he got so mad at me. He was like, you just don't care, you don't love me, it's so easy for you, you're so tough, you should be the one doing this. I couldn't believe he thought that being a working mom and at home with 3 children was easy. He didn't know that sometimes I sat in my closet crying after the kids went to bed because I was so overwhelmed and exhausted and just wanted him home. But I was never going to let him know that, because then he would stop and he wouldn't go back one of those Sundays. And I was never going to be the reason he didn't succeed. I was not going to be his regret. The night before his graduation, he said, thank you. Thank you for not letting me give up. I know now why you did what you did, and I couldn't have done it without you. And that was all I needed, knowing how happy and proud he was of himself. the pride my little boys have in their father. They tell everyone their daddy is a police officer. It made all of the sacrifice worth it. A little less than 2 months ago, on July 31st, 10 years after our first date, we finally had that wedding. We stood before a small group of our closest friends and family reciting our vows. It was the most magical week of our lives with our children and friends. Little did we know what was just to come a short time after for us. But I take great comfort in knowing that he knew how much I loved him, how much his children loved him, how much his friends and family loved him. Danny, loving you changed my life. Losing you has done the same. But I promise you, baby, your children will never forget their daddy. We will celebrate and honor you every day. Augie, Daniel, Titi, your daddy loves you so much. You are all that mattered to him. He is so proud of you, Taylor, and the beautiful, kind young woman you have become. We talked about it all the time. And you boys are going to carry on his name and his legacy. Thank you all for coming today to say goodbye to our hero. I will leave you all with this. When I was going through Danny's favorite photo saved to his phone, he had a screenshot that I think he saved from when we lost our baby girl, Reagan. As I sit in heaven and watch over you every day, I try to let you know with signs I never went away. I hear you when you're laughing, and I watch you when you sleep. I even place my arms around you to calm you as you weep. I see you wish the days away, begging to have me home. So I try to send you signs so you are not alone. Don't feel guilty that you have life that was denied to me. Heaven is truly beautiful, just you wait and see. So live your life, be free, and know that every breath you take, you'll be taking one for me. Thank you.